So I could end up with their daughter, yeah. And they all say TV set. Oh yeah, mine was yeah. The big ball, it was a great volleyball team. Oh yeah,
This is the September 15th, 2014 City of Vandalia City Council meeting is now called to order. We will have a moment of reflection followed by the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. Would you please stand for pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Council, you have in your packet the minutes from our council workshop on September the 2nd, also the council meeting minutes of September the 2nd, the council special meeting minutes of September the 2nd, and the council special meeting minutes of September the 8th. Are there any corrections or additions to those? Seeing none, they'll stand approved. We have no communications, petitions, or awards this evening, nor do we have any public hearing. And that brings us to the agenda item where we ask that if there are any interested individuals in the audience who would like to make comment to the council, if you would please step forward to the podium, state your name and address for our records, and give us your comment. Seeing none, we'll go on to the city manager's report. Mr. Cruzy?
Thank you, Your Honor. Well, October is Fire Prevention Month, and so the Division of Fire is going to be hosting an open house on Sunday, October 5th, from 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. at Fire Station 1 on Peters Pike.
Thank you. We have no action items, nor do we have any old business, and that brings us to our resolution 14-R-57. Would you please read it by title only?
Yes, ma'am. Resolution 14R57, a resolution establishing a summer meeting schedule for the months of June, July, and August 2015.
Thank you. Mr. Cruzy?
Okay, thank you, Your Honor. Again, this resolution would approve Council's 2015 summer meeting schedule. Again, during the months of June, July, and August, Council would meet once per month on the third Monday of the month. And again, per Council's direction, the start of the workshop will be moved back to 6 p.m. with the Council meeting beginning at 6:30 p.m.
Thank you. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion. We approve Resolution 14-R-57.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilman Gerhardt, second by Councilman Blakesley, that we do approve Resolution 14-R-57. Are there any comments from council? Seeing none, would you please call the roll?
Councilman Blakesley,
Yes.
Councilman Gerhard,
Yes.
Councilman Brussman,
Yes.
Councilman Ehlers,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Farsht,
Yes.
Mayor Setzer.
Yes, and the motion carries 7-0. There are no ordinances in their first reading, and that brings us to the ordinances in their second reading, and that was ordinance 14-27. Would you read it by title only, please?
Yes, ma'am. Ordinance 14-27, an ordinance approving a major amendment for the property located at 24 North Perry Street and owned by Daniel and Tammy Collinsworth in the office residential PUD overlay.
Thank you, Mr. Cruzy.
Thank you, Your Honor. Again, Tammy Collinsworth has submitted a request for a major amendment to permit a fence that was built with the structural supports located on the side facing the exterior of the property. The fence permit issued to the Collinsworths in May states that the structural supports must be located on the side facing the interior of the property. The Planning Commission reviewed this request on August 12th and determined that Mr. and Mrs. Collinsworth have not explored other options to resolve the issue of the fence post on the exterior of the property, such as building a dual-faced fence. And the Planning Commission also determined that the applicant has not expressed that a hardship or unique circumstance exists in which it is impossible to comply with the zoning code. The Planning Commission voted 4-0 to recommend denial of the major amendment to permit a non-conforming fence at 24 North Perry Street.
Thank you. Since this is an ordinance in its second reading, I will open a public hearing. And if there's anyone in the audience who would like to make comment about this ordinance, would you please come forward to the podium, state your name and address for our records and your
Hi,
comments.
I'm Tammy Collinsworth, 24 North Perry, here in Vandalia. This is about my fence. We did apply for a permit. We did we didn't see this little paragraph here at the bottom on the structural supports, our oversight, clearly our oversight. So we talked to the planning office and had a conversation, and our only two choices were either a variance or doing the double-sided fence. We had submitted, our fence is downtown. It faces only one other property, and then there is a alleyway to the back of the church. So we talked to our neighbor prior to, this was long before we put up the fence. They were fine with it, had no problem with the posts going to the back. So we did obtain a letter from them and submitted that after we had been denied. There have been no complaints to from any other neighbors that we know of. So we went to the Planning Commission meeting, submitted all those. We submitted pictures of other properties in the area, gave them exact addresses over behind St. Chris. And since then, we found others behind Hawk's Pharmacy, and they have their posts to the outside, just like ours are. I think one of the key things for us is that when we were at the board, we asked, what is this, what's the reason behind this? And they said aesthetics, which we all agree is an important thing here in the city. If you would move the fence, if our neighbor had moved the fence, we moved it on his property, you would be seeing the same thing. It's just, it's not any different if you would be looking from the alleyway. We submitted pictures from looking at all areas that the public would be seeing our fence. Did not see, you can barely see the fence. From Dixie, from National, you cannot see the fence at all. I mean, you might just be able to get a quick peek. We've taken pictures from the bank and also from BP, and you can see very little of that. And we submitted those pictures, and were denied still. For me, the hardship is more money for something that is not going to really change the look. I mean, it will. There's going to be fencing there, but our neighbor does not want that. So we've talked to the neighbor. Again, I said they put in the letter saying that they didn't want the fence, the backing on the fence. And we don't think it's impairing appropriate use. It's not a detriment to public welfare. It's aesthetics, and we just don't see that they're, we were denied based on that. So I guess that's my case.
Okay, thank you.
Not much more.
Is there anyone on council who would like to ask a question? Thank you, Mrs. Collinsworth. Do I have a motion?
Your Honor, I'll move that we deny the major amendment to the property located at 24 North Perry Street, 14-27.
Do I have a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Councilman Lewis, second by Councilman Blakesley, that we do deny the variance request at 24 North Perry Street. Comments from council members?
I would like to comment first. I think Councilman Brusman did bring a valid point that if there was ever a point where we should have a grant an exception, this would appear to be it. We have the letter from the neighbor. It doesn't appear in this particular instance to cause a big issue with the aesthetics, which I think is the purpose behind our ordinance. However, as I also commented, we have approximately 7,000 residents in the city, 7,000 residences in the city. And once we grant this, and I feel most assured that this was an actual mistake. This wasn't a case where the homeowner deliberately did something purposely and said, to heck with it, let them try to enforce it. This was a legitimate mistake that nice people put up a fence for trying to improve their property. But it will make it almost extremely difficult to continue to enforce these fence ordinances if we grant an exception in this case. And I may have been more inclined, I haven't been persuaded that it is a horrible hardship to move the boards from one side to the other. And I think that can be done fairly a cost-effective basis. Of course, it's going to be a pain in the neck, and nobody can underestimate that. But I think the other principle kind of supersedes the need to leave it the way it is currently, and thus I have made the motion that I did.
Thank you. Others?
Yeah, Councilman Lewis has already said, I really think, a variance is asking you to go a little bit away from what the rules are. And in this situation, and I went over and looked at it, and I was just, you conjure up something in your mind of what this is going to be. And when I got there, I thought, oh my goodness, is this it? And they're correct. It's one house, and you basically can't see it any other place. And they're also correct that the house on the other side, they can look right through the yard and see the beautiful fence. And if they turn it around, now they're going to look right through their yard and see the posts. So I don't think it's going to cause a hardship for the neighbor because he's good with it. Now, if a new neighbor comes in, well, for them, it's a pre-existing condition. And wood is wood to me, I guess. I'm not real picky as far as that goes. So if there's posts there, there's posts there. I understand the whole thing about, if you do this, and we're going to have a floodgate of people who, and I don't think so, because I think we can say, no, you can't do it, but this person could do it because it was a very special situation, and that's what I'm looking at here. So I think I'm going to vote no on this, and at the very least, I'd like to say maybe we need to look at some of this stuff, and it just seems like in this situation we shouldn't be so hard on it. And at the very least, I'd like to say if we say we're not going to allow them their variance, at least we could give them some time to make the correction. Thank you.
Anyone else?
I would be in agreement with that, and I agree that I don't think it was just a mistake. And from one standpoint, as a homeowner, I could see how that could happen. Also, from this side of the seat, looking out for the rest of the city, it's our duty too to make sure that our ordinances and legislation is being followed. So it does set a dangerous precedence. Is it because of aesthetics? And I agree, maybe, as we look at that, there was a reason and a purpose for that. In going forward, the future, with any additional neighbors, they may end up having a complaint. Who knows? And using pre-existing fences that are in the same condition, I don't know is fair because we don't really know the situation with those and why those exist. Were they done without a permit, with a permit? Did they have a variance, and what were the conditions? So it's really hard to predict what occurred with those. From personal standpoint, I feel for you And it's hard to make that decision. But we also have to look out what's best for the city as well. So unfortunately, it's happened.
Another thing, in my opinion, a variance normally would be asked for before something was done. You wouldn't have been coming in asking for a variance to put the posts on the inside or outside as they are now. So you actually unintentionally made a mistake. The city has an ordinance, and all we're asking you to do is try to correct it. I know in the past, people have built fences too close to the sidewalk, too close or on their neighbors' lines. We've had them take them down totally. In this case, we're just asking you to fix it. It was an honest mistake. You've admitted you made a mistake, and there's really, you wouldn't have came in and asked ahead of time. If you wouldn't have made the mistake, we wouldn't be in this position, as I'm sure you understand. You would have built it the way the code said, and then we would have never, you would have never had to do any of this stuff. So in this case, I think you can fix it. Dave knows, I feel for you, because I'm very, when it makes sense, I'm very much in favor of letting people do things that don't, but when it's done just by accident, I don't think that it is an excuse to say we need to change something. I'm sorry, but that's the way I'll vote, but I do feel for you, so I don't want you to think we don't care about you guys, because we do, but just policy precedents.
Anyone else? Seeing none, would you please call the roll?
Yes, ma'am. Councilman Gerhard?
No. Right,
Councilman Lewis?
No to letting it go through, correct? Yeah, okay.
The
Motion is to deny, so I'll say yes to deny it. Sorry.
Councilman Lewis?
Yes.
Councilman Brusman?
No.
Councilman Ayers?
Yes.
Councilman Blakesley?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Farst?
Yes.
Mayor Setzer?
Yes, and the motion passes 6-1. We have no emergency ordinances, and that brings us to the reports from boards and commissions. And from that, we have a variance request at 1019 South Brown School Road, IPD. Mr. Cruzy?
Thank you, Your Honor. Again, Integrated Procurement Technologies, again, 1019 Brown School Road, is requesting a variance to allow a rear yard setback of 26 feet 6 inches, where 50 feet is required, to accommodate the construction of a 5,000 square foot building north of its existing facility. The thoroughfare plan requires an additional 15 feet of right-of-way along Brown School Road, which in turn requires the building to be set back further from the roadway, thereby reducing the buildable area of the lot. The BZA reviewed this variance request at its August 27th meeting and unanimously recommended approval.
Thank you. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion, we approve the variance request for 1019 South Brown School Road /IPT.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilman Gerhart, second by Vice Mayor Farst, that we do approve the variance request at 1019 South Brown School Road, IPT. Any comments from anyone? Seeing none, will you please call the roll?
Yes, ma'am. Councilman Lewis?
Yes.
Councilman Brusman?
Yes.
Councilman Ayers?
Yes.
Councilman Blakesley?
Yes.
Councilman Gerhard?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Farst?
Yes.
Mayor Setzer?
Yes, and the motion carries 7-0. We have our bill listing of $5,902,229.68. And that brings us to our council comments, starting with Mr. Stokely. Do you have any comments?
No, I'm good. Thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Cruzy?
Just two quick items, Your Honor. Again, just remind council, tomorrow is our Business Appreciation Day golf outing. Registration is from 9 to 10 with the shotgun start at 10 a.m. And also, I'd like to remind council that the Independent Can grand opening is Wednesday at 1:30 p.m.
Thank you. Councilman Gerhart?
Yeah, I mean, this is just something I wanted to say. With regards to just, we just passed that variance request for this business to put a warehouse in. In their application, they're able to show the hardship. It was due to the design of their lot and having a, what's the road term? The
Business thoroughfares.
thoroughfare. So I know I probably is like you might be thinking, well, why did they do that and not ours? Because their submission met all the requirements of a hardship and likewise. So I don't want you to think that we blew you off or didn't care about your feelings. It either meets the requirements or it doesn't, and that was why that happened. And so if you were thinking that, that's because I would probably think that if I were in your shoes, but none of this stuff gets taken lightly, and it all, you saw how the process, it goes to these boards, and then it comes up here. And we go over everything in thorough detail with staff and take the feedback of the boards and commissions before we make a decision. So it's not a light thing, and I hope you guys understand. So that's all I wanted to say.
Thank
Thank
you. Councilman Ayers?
Nothing tonight, thank you.
Councilman Bressman?
No comments tonight, thanks.
Councilman Blakesley?
Nothing, thank you.
Councilman Lewis?
No, thank you, Your Honor.
Vice Mayor Faris?
Nothing tonight, thank you.
And I have nothing, and so our meeting is adjourned.